Jay-Z is done for. People are saying 50 Cent's got the receipts that'll crack open 2 decades of silence. This whole situation has the internet spinning because the billionaire everyone thought was untouchable just got hit with allegations he can't lawyer his way out of. Everybody thought they knew the full story about Jay-Z and Diddy. 2 moguls, 2 empires, separate lanes. That was the version everyone repeated for years, the narrative we all accepted. But now, 50 Cent's documentary, new legal filings, and voices like Jaguar Wright got the whole narrative twisting. What looked like distance was allegedly a cover. What seemed like silence was reportedly strategy. And what people dismissed as conspiracy is now being examined frame by frame online. The man who never had to explain himself is suddenly facing questions he can't dodge. And folks online swear this is just the beginning. Let me break this down because this is where everything starts clicking into place. 50 Cent isn't just talking, he's been working on a documentary for months, and the moment Jay-Z's legal team sent that letter, 50 knew exactly what it meant. Fear, that's what he called it. Straight fear. Because powerful people don't send legal threats unless they're worried about what's coming next. Now, here's what's wild. 50 says he and Diddy were never close. He's been on record multiple times explaining that certain invitations made him uncomfortable years ago. That's why he kept his distance. And that distance, according to him, is exactly why he feels confident speaking now. When the allegations against Diddy became public, 50 said he learned about them the same way everyone else did, through the news. But none of it surprised him. And it gets even crazier when you realize Jaguar Wright has gone even further. She's claimed that Jay-Z is worse than Diddy. She's alleged that he committed acts against women that rival or exceed what the public has already seen with Diddy. She says she has scars to prove it. She's alleged that Jay-Z attacked her directly, and that Sean Carter was involved or aided in situations similar to the allegations surrounding Diddy. Jay-Z has denied wrongdoing, but these claims are part of why some believe he quietly distanced himself from Diddy to avoid being caught in the fallout. Think about it. There have also been long circulating accusations tying Jay-Z to the death of Kathy White, allegations he's never been charged over and has denied. Still, as the spotlight intensified on Diddy, attention inevitably began shifting toward Jay-Z, especially because of his silence. For many, that silence raised questions. Some believe Jay-Z's team has been aware for years that his name appears in civil discussions and industry whispers, and that staying quiet is a calculated move, waiting for the storm to pass without drawing attention. But here's where it gets even more intense. Fans online turned into full-blown investigators. They started pulling up old clips, stage moments, award shows, white party guest lists, matching timelines, and folks online swear the connections are undeniable. In one viral clip, Diddy's on stage and the first thing he does is pat Jay-Z on the backside. Then he makes a public statement saying nobody can call him Sean except Jay-Z. Now, Gene Deal, Diddy's former bodyguard, saw that and said it didn't look casual. It looked intimate. Industry closeness. The kind you don't fake. 50 Cent even pointed it out years ago. He brought up how often they were together, how relaxed they looked, how Diddy would break his neck to show up at Jay-Z's events, but Jay-Z rarely returned the favor. According to Gene Deal, Diddy felt they were close, real close, but Jay-Z's lawyer recently said they barely knew each other. That statement made no sense to people who watched them for years. Let's keep it real. Online detectives took this to a whole new level. They started analyzing body language, comparing appearances at events, cross-referencing dates, studying who was in the room when certain decisions got made. And people are saying the pattern is clear. Jay-Z was always there, just quiet, just watching, just protected. TMZ hasn't dropped anything definitive yet, but reports say more is coming. Legal filings keep surfacing, witnesses keep speaking, and the internet is buzzing because for the first time in decades, Jay-Z doesn't control the narrative. He's reacting, and that alone tells you something shifted. Gene Deal explained it like this. A lot of people in the industry didn't know how old Jay-Z really was back then. Clean-shaven, low cuts, no obvious signs of age. So if you saw him with younger women, you might assume he was early 20s, not pushing 30. But once the truth comes out, that assumption changes everything. If someone's actually in their 30s dealing with girls who are 16, 17, 18, that's not a misunderstanding anymore. That's a problem. And people didn't question it then. But now, with hindsight and with Jay-Z raising daughters of his own, the optics look very different. According to Gene, a lot of behavior in the industry went unchecked because nobody spoke on it. Now that platforms exist where people can say what they saw, heard, or experienced, some powerful figures see that as a threat. But Gene is clear, these aren't street guys, they're entertainers, and entertainers rely on image. Fans swear the evidence is piling up. Allegedly, the more people dig, the more connections surface. Voice matching, timeline analysis, witness statements, it's all building towards something bigger. And honestly, that's what has the internet going wild right now. Now let's get into the motive, because this is where everything starts clicking on a deeper level. Dame Dash, Jay-Z's former best friend and business partner, recently weighed in. And what stood out to him wasn't just the accusations, it was the reaction. Dame says he's never seen Jay-Z face this level of public scrutiny before, especially not from mainstream white media. For decades, Dame says Jay-Z seemed untouchable. He always got a pass. This time feels different. Dame points out that while Jay-Z may have influence over black media through business ties and relationships, that protection doesn't extend the same way to outlets like People magazine or Entertainment Today. And now those outlets are paying attention. Dame questions the strategy. If Jay-Z is innocent, why not speak directly? Why allow lawyers to do all the talking? From Dame's perspective, silence is doing more harm than good. He believes Jay-Z should answer questions himself instead of letting statements come through legal channels. Dame also criticized the claim that Jay-Z and Diddy were never close. He felt that distancing was extreme and unnecessary and likely to trigger backlash. To him, denying a well-documented friendship doesn't look like protection, it looks defensive. What struck Dame the most is that this is the first time he can remember Jay-Z facing this level of public scrutiny, outside of isolated moments like the infamous elevator incident. Jay-Z has never had to explain himself publicly like this. Dame says he's never seen people come at Jay-Z this hard, this openly, or this persistently. He also made a key distinction. Jay-Z himself hasn't spoken. Everything people are reacting to comes from paperwork and lawyers. Dame warns against confusing legal statements with personal truth. Until Jay-Z speaks directly, Dame says people are reacting to silence, and silence leaves room for speculation. In Dame's view, that's the real shift. For the first time in his career, Jay-Z isn't controlling the narrative, and that alone signals something shifted. But here's where the motive gets even clearer. Tony Yayo from G-Unit recently explained why 50 Cent seems so locked in on exposing Jay-Z. History with Diddy alone doesn't fully explain it. According to Yayo, the tension between 50 and Jay-Z goes back years and is rooted in competition, loyalty, and how each man moves in within hip-hop. Yayo explained that hip-hop has always been competitive. Artists clash, egos collide, rivalries form. But there are moments when people mature and move forward. He pointed to a recent show where 50 performed with Dr. Dre and Cameron unexpectedly joined him on stage. Years earlier, they had real issues, but that moment showed growth. Cameron recently said that Jay-Z loves business more than hip-hop culture, and Yayo understands why people feel that way. He says Jay-Z shows up for high-profile corporate events, but doesn't always show the same presence for hip-hop moments that matter deeply to artists. Yayo contrasted that with how 50 moves. He recalled how when Yayo was incarcerated, 50 put money aside from every G-Unit show so that Yayo would come home financially secure. Yayo said it added up to nearly $1 million. To him, that says everything about leadership. He explained it like this. 50 doesn't tell people to buy luxury cars first. He says, let's get you out the hood first. The lifestyle comes after stability. And 50 didn't have to do that. He chose to. Even record executives told Yayo that 50 did more for his artists than many industry giants ever did.
Yayo believes the real difference between Jay-Z and 50 is approachability.
Jay-Z operates on an elite level, but he's distant. 50, despite being just as powerful, still shows up. He stays connected to his people and remembers who helped build him. Then came the moment that stuck with Yayo the most. He said Jay-Z allegedly didn't want 50 Cent to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show. According to what Yayo heard, Eminem stepped in and made it clear he wouldn't perform unless 50 was included. To Yayo, that felt personal. Cameron echoed similar sentiments, pointing out that Jay-Z performed at Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony but didn't show up for major hip-hop moments tied to 50. Yayo admits Jay-Z is on another level, but says visibility matters. People notice who shows up and who doesn't. Yayo also pointed out that competition between Jay-Z and 50 has always existed. From old lyrical jabs to later collaborations, the rivalry never fully disappeared. Even when they worked together, the tension lingered. Despite criticism, Yayo emphasizes that G-Unit's impact can't be denied. Alongside Eminem and Dr. Dre, 50 Cent helped build one of the most dominant runs in music history. In terms of sales, influence, and cultural reach, few groups compare. Yayo says executives used to tell him something revealing, that it was important for Jay-Z to become a billionaire, not just for business, but symbolically. According to Yayo, 50 sees that same responsibility differently. For him, becoming powerful isn't just about wealth, it's about bringing people with you. And that difference in philosophy, Yayo suggests, may explain why the tension never really went away, and why 50 Cent seems willing to speak now while others stay quiet. Put all that together, and it looks like the perfect recipe for a reckoning that's been brewing for 20 years. But here's the part that really hits different. The people who got caught up in the middle of all this weren't moguls or celebrities. They were regular people, women, young girls. People who barely had a voice and just tried to survive in an industry that chewed them up. That's messed up. One of Jay-Z's accusers recently came forward in new legal filings. Even though she dropped her lawsuit, she says she still stands by her story. She only withdrew because of harassment and fear. According to the documents, she alleges that Jay-Z, or people acting on his behalf, bullied her into saying her accusations were false. In those documents, Jane Doe claims she was recently approached outside her home by two individuals who identified themselves as investigators working for one of Jay-Z's attorneys. She says they tried to pressure her into signing an affidavit stating her claims were untrue. She refused. She also alleges they questioned her about whether her lawyer, Tony Busby, sought her out and offered her money to pursue false allegations, something she denies. What shook her most, she says, was how they found her. Her identity had remained anonymous in both media coverage and court filings. She later claimed her parents were also approached by investigators asking similar questions. According to her, that was the breaking point. She says she dropped the lawsuit because she feared being publicly exposed, harassed, or worse. Think about it. This is somebody who was allegedly traumatized, came forward, and then got pressured into silence. That's somebody's daughter. That's somebody's family member. And they're dealing with trauma over a situation they barely had the power to escape in the first place. Jaguar Wright has said the same thing. She claims she has scars. Literal scars. She's alleged that Jay-Z attacked her and that Sean Carter was involved in acts that were recorded, similar to the allegations surrounding Diddy. She says she knows what it feels like to have a box cutter rip into your skin. And she says Jay-Z remembers everything he did to her and that he's got it on tape, just like Diddy. That's not speculation. That's a woman speaking on record about her own trauma. And it gets worse. There have been long-standing allegations about Kathy White, Jay-Z's alleged pregnant mistress who died in 2001. Her death was ruled an aneurysm, but speculation has lingered for decades. Some believe she was going to go public with their relationship and the baby, while he was married to Beyoncé. 24 hours later, she was dead. Officially ruled an aneurysm, but people close to the situation have questioned that ruling for over 2 decades. And it gets even more intense. When Nicki Minaj posted that viral video of Jay-Z in a pink wig, all 50 Cent did was repost it. Suddenly, Jay-Z's lawyers were contacting him. That reaction said everything. Why would someone that powerful react so strongly to a harmless repost? Unless it wasn't harmless. Unless it touched a nerve. Around the same time, Nicki was reportedly working non-stop to help build Tidal, Jay-Z's streaming platform. Yet there have long been allegations that millions in her royalties, figures as high as $7.9 million, were never properly paid out. Those claims have never been fully resolved in the public eye. Fans online have been working like full-blown investigators for months now. They've been pulling receipts, cross-referencing public records, matching timelines between Diddy's known movements and Jay-Z's appearances, studying guest lists from exclusive parties, analyzing who was in the room during key industry decisions. One pattern keeps showing up. Jay-Z's name pops up around key moments: the elevator incident, guest lists at Diddy's parties, industry power plays, but somehow he always walks away untouched. That's what people say he does best: pull strings behind the scenes while presenting himself as spotless in public. Gene Deal explained it like this: if you were on the outside looking in, it was obvious Diddy was trying hard to stay close to Jay-Z. Diddy would fly to 5 or 6 different concerts Jay-Z had, but Jay-Z wasn't showing up at one of Diddy's shows. Diddy would break his neck to get to the rock brunch, but Jay-Z didn't pop up at any of Diddy's events. Gene said Diddy was even upset he didn't get invited to Jay-Z's wedding when he married Beyoncé. Steve Stute and others were there, but not Diddy. And Diddy was in his feelings about it. But because Gene and his team were security, bottom of the totem pole, Diddy wasn't going to show how much it affected him openly. You'd only hear it in private conversations or overhear something. But I believe Puff felt they was close, Gene said, and that's the part that sticks. Because if Diddy believed they were tight, why would Jay-Z's lawyer now claim they barely knew each other? That distancing strategy is what has people questioning everything, because it doesn't match the footage, it doesn't match the history, and it doesn't match what people who were actually there are now saying on record. TMZ just dropped hints that more is coming. Reports say additional witnesses are preparing to speak. Legal experts believe if federal investigators are building a case around Diddy, anyone in his inner circle during key time periods could be called to testify. And that includes Jay-Z. Let's keep it real. Everything is speculation until it's confirmed. But the volume of allegations, the consistency of the stories, and the number of people now willing to speak publicly has created a situation Jay-Z can't ignore anymore. For the first time in decades, his silence isn't protection, it's fuel, and the fire is spreading faster than his legal team can contain it. Meanwhile, the broader hip-hop community has been watching all of this unfold in real time, and reactions have been mixed. Some artists are staying completely silent, others are subtly distancing themselves. A few have spoken out, but carefully, using language that protects them legally while still making their stance clear. Cameron, who used to be close with Jay-Z during the Rockefeller era, has said that Jay-Z loves business more than hip-hop culture. That statement resonated with a lot of people because it highlighted something many have felt for years: that Jay-Z's priorities shifted, that he became more concerned with boardrooms than the culture that built him. And honestly, that's been a running theme in these conversations. The idea that power changes people, that once you reach a certain level, you start protecting your image and your empire more than you protect the truth. Tony Yayo touched on this too. He said Jay-Z will show up for Tom Brady's Hall of Fame ceremony, a corporate high-profile event, but he won't show up for hip-hop moments that matter to the artists who built the culture alongside him. That difference in energy hasn't gone unnoticed. Yayo also recalled a conversation he had with industry executives. He said they told him it was important for Jay-Z to become a billionaire, not just for himself, but symbolically, for representation. But when Yayo asked why, the answers were revealing. They said because he wants a casino, he wants an alcohol brand, he wants this and that. And Yayo's response was simple. Why does anybody need another casino? Casinos are perfect for laundering money. They print cash. But notice what they never say. They never say it's about building schools in Black neighborhoods or investing back into the community. Instead, it's about building casinos for Black people to lose money in, then selling them overpriced merchandise on top of it. That's the trap, Yayo said. All of it. A greed machine disguised as success. And hip-hop has now turned itself over to this machine and doesn't realize it's time to unplug. That perspective hits different because it reframes the entire conversation. It's not just about one man's alleged actions. It's about a system, a culture of silence, a structure that protects power at the expense of truth. 50 Cent has been saying this for years. He's pointed out how certain people operate in the industry, how they move in silence, how they use lawyers and money and influence to control narratives, and how they rely on fear to keep people quiet. But fear only works when people are scared to talk, and that era, according to 50, is ending. There's also been discussion about the bigger picture, about so-called Black excellence, about billionaires standing shoulder to shoulder, protecting each other, pretending nothing is happening, while people inside the system, men and women, are still trapped. That's the part that gets lost, some say. Because while everyone celebrates wealth and success, the people who got hurt along the way are still carrying trauma, still dealing with the fallout, still waiting for someone to believe them. And now, that corner of the darkness has been ripped open. More people are talking, more stories are surfacing, and more questions that can no longer be dismissed as conspiracy theories or internet rumors. The cultural moment we're in right now is significant because for the first time, the internet has created a space where voices that were silenced before can now be heard, where receipts can be pulled, where timelines can be verified, and where power can be challenged publicly. That's why this story matters beyond just celebrity gossip. It's a reflection of a larger shift happening in how accountability works in the digital age. And this story is still unfolding, with way bigger implications than just one incident or one person. What we're seeing here is how power has operated in the entertainment industry for decades. The systems that protect certain people, the mechanisms that silence victims, the infrastructure that allows allegations to disappear while the accused remain untouched. The bigger conversation is about responsibility. When you constantly build an image of perfection, of untouchability, of being above reproach, you're not just protecting your brand. You're unintentionally creating an environment where people believe they can't speak out, where victims feel powerless, where truth gets buried under legal threats and fear. Jay-Z's situation is a wild example, but it's also a warning for anybody with that level of influence. The more you distance yourself from accountability, the more you rely on silence and legal strategy instead of transparency, the more suspicion builds. And in the age of the internet, suspicion spreads faster than any PR team can control. The documentary 50 Cent is working on isn't just about exposing one person. It's about showing how systems operate, how people knew things and stayed quiet, how money and power created protection, and how that protection is finally starting to crack. Industry insiders believe this moment could change how allegations are handled moving forward. Because for years, powerful figures could make things go away. Settlements, NDAs, legal pressure. But now, with social media and platforms like YouTube, people have a voice that can't be silenced as easily. Jaguar Wright has been vocal about this. She's said repeatedly that the women are going to be the ones who bring these men down in the end. And based on what's happening right now, that prediction is starting to look accurate. There's also a larger conversation about generational trauma within the industry, about young artists who were taken advantage of, about people who were silenced, about systems that were designed to protect power, not people. This isn't just about Jay-Z or Diddy. It's about everyone who enabled them, everyone who looked the other way, everyone who benefited from the system while others suffered. And as more people find the courage to speak, as more receipts surface, as more investigations potentially open, the entire structure that allowed this to go on for so long is being questioned. That's what makes this moment so significant. It's not just a celebrity scandal, it's a cultural reckoning, a moment where people are asking, how did this go on for so long? Who knew? And why did nobody stop it? The answers to those questions are still coming, but one thing is clear. Silence is no longer a strategy that works, and the people who relied on it for decades are now facing a reality where their past is catching up to them in ways they can't control.
So where does this leave Jay-Z right now? Legally, nothing has been proven in court. He hasn't been charged with anything. His lawyers are doing what lawyers do, denying allegations, issuing statements, trying to control the damage. But the court of public opinion is a different battlefield, and right now, Jay-Z is losing that battle. The silence that used to protect him is now being interpreted as guilt. The distancing from Diddy that might have seemed strategic is now being seen as suspicious. And the legal pressure on accusers that was meant to make things go away has instead made people more convinced something is being hidden. Dame Dash said it best. This is the first time Jay-Z isn't controlling the narrative, and that alone is a seismic shift. There's speculation that more is coming, that 50 Cent's documentary will include testimonies, footage, and evidence that hasn't been made public yet, that other people who stayed silent for years are now willing to speak because they see the protection cracking. Some believe federal investigators are building something larger, that Diddy's cooperation, if it's happening, could pull in multiple high-profile names. That this isn't just about one person's downfall, but about exposing an entire network. Others worry that even without charges, the damage to Jay-Z's reputation is already done. That the whispers, the allegations, the pattern of behavior described by multiple people over multiple years has created a narrative he can't escape. Social media has amplified all of it. Every old clip gets re-examined, every past statement gets analyzed, every connection gets mapped, and the internet doesn't forget. The question now isn't whether Jay-Z can make this go away. It's whether he can survive it. Not legally, but culturally. Not in court, but in the eyes of the people who once saw him as untouchable. Because once that image cracks, once people start questioning everything, it's almost impossible to rebuild the same level of trust and reverence. And right now, that crack is spreading faster than anyone anticipated. More details dropping every day, more clues surfacing online, more people finding the courage to speak, and reports say 50 Cent's documentary is closer to release than anyone expected. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Jay-Z's silence is strategy or admission? Do you think 50 Cent really has the evidence to back up everything he's been saying? And do you think this is just the beginning of something way bigger? Let me know what side you're on, because this conversation is far from over. Make sure you like the video if this breakdown gave you a new perspective. Hit subscribe so you don't miss a single update, because we're covering every twist, every new filing, every piece of evidence that comes out. Turn on notifications, because when that documentary drops, when new allegations surface, when the next bombshell hits, you're going to want to be the first to know. I appreciate you for rocking with me through this whole deep dive. This has been one of the most complex, layered, and intense stories I've covered, and it's only getting more intense from here. Stay safe out there, stay critical, stay informed, and remember, power protects power until the people demand accountability. The era of silence is ending, and we're watching it collapse in real time. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.